I sat at the kitchen table at 11:47 p.m. on a Wednesday night, staring at 3 envelopes I couldn't open: the electricity bill, the water notice, and a letter from my daughter's school about unpaid lunch fees that made my stomach turn inside out. My husband Marcus was in the bedroom with the door closed. We hadn't spoken in 4 days. Not because we were angry, because we were empty. Empty of words, empty of solutions, empty of the energy it takes to keep pretending everything would somehow work itself out. This was our life now. Every month ended the same way: empty wallets and broken silence. My name is Patricia Williams. I'm 58 years old and I live in Atlanta, Georgia, in a neighborhood that used to feel like home, but now feels like a reminder of everything I can't afford to keep. I worked for 23 years as a nurse's aide at Grady Memorial Hospital until they cut my hours so deep I had to find work elsewhere. Now I clean houses 3 days a week and work the night shift at a packaging warehouse on the weekends. Marcus used to drive trucks long haul across the South. Good money, steady work. But after his back surgery 2 years ago, he wasn't the same. He can't sit for more than an hour without pain, shooting down his legs like lightning. He tried local delivery jobs, but they let him go after 3 months. Said he was too slow, too old, too broken. We have 2 children. Jasmine is 16, smart as a whip, dreams of going to Spelman College like I always wanted to. She doesn't know we can't even afford her senior year fees, let alone college tuition. And then there's Marcus Jr., who we call MJ. He's 12. Quiet, watch everything, hears everything, even when we think he's asleep. That night, I heard MJ's bedroom door creak open. His little footsteps padded down the hallway. I quickly wiped my face and shoved the bills into my purse. "Mama?" His voice was soft, careful, like he was afraid to break something. "Baby, what are you doing up?" I forced a smile that felt like glass. He stood in the doorway in his 2 small pajamas, the ones we couldn't afford to replace yet. "I heard you crying." My throat closed. "I'm okay, baby. Just tired." "Is Daddy mad at you?" "No, sweetheart. Daddy's he's tired too." He walked over and climbed into my lap like he used to when he was little. He was getting too big for this, but I held him anyway. "Mama, are we poor?" The question hit me like a fist. I wanted to lie. I wanted to tell him we were fine, that everything was under control, that his mama had it all figured out. But sitting there in that dark kitchen with my baby boy in my arms and my husband hiding in the bedroom and bills I couldn't pay staring at me from my purse, I realized something. This story wasn't about being poor, it was about being broken, and I didn't know how to fix it anymore. Let me take you back 6 months. Back to when the silence between Marcus and me first started. It was the end of March. Spring in Atlanta was beautiful that year. Dogwood blooming everywhere, but inside our house, winter had come and never left. We were sitting at the dinner table. Jasmine was texting under the table. MJ was pushing food around his plate. Marcus was staring at nothing, and I was trying to pretend I didn't see the final notice from Georgia Power sitting on the counter. "Mama, can I get money for the field trip?" Jasmine asked without looking up from her phone. "It's $45. We're going to the High Museum." My chest tightened. "When do you need it?" "Friday." That was 3 days away. I had $11 in my checking account and $80 in cash I was saving for groceries. I did the math in my head like I always did. If I gave her the money, we'd have to stretch what was left. Rice and beans for a week. No meat, no milk, nothing extra. "I'll see what I can do, baby." Marcus looked at me across the table. Just a glance. But in that glance, I saw everything. Shame, frustration, helplessness. He knew I was going to give Jasmine the money because that's what I always did. I always found a way, even when there was no way. Later that night, after the kids went to bed, Marcus sat on the edge of our bed with his head in his hands. "We can't keep doing this, Patricia." "What do? Pretending, acting like we're going to wake up one day and everything's going to be fine." I stood in the doorway, my arms crossed. "What do you want me to say, Marcus? You want me to tell Jasmine she can't go on her field trip? You want me to tell MJ we can't afford his basketball shoes? What do you want from me?" He didn't answer. He just sat there, shoulders slumped, looking like a man who'd given up. "I'm doing everything I can," I said, my voice cracking. "I'm working 3 jobs. I'm cutting corners everywhere. I don't buy anything for myself. I wear the same shoes until they fall apart. What else do you want me to do?" "I want you to stop carrying this whole family on your back like you're the only one who cares." "Then help me carry it, Marcus." The words came out sharper than I meant, but they were true, and we both knew it. He stood up slowly, his face hard. "You think I'm not trying? You think I don't feel like a failure every single day? You think I don't hate myself for not being able to provide for my own family?" "I never said that." "You don't have to say it, Patricia. I see it in your eyes every time you look at me." He walked past me and out of the room. I heard the front door open and close. He didn't come back until 3 a.m, and when he did, he slept on the couch. That was the beginning of the silence. By April, things got worse. I picked up another cleaning job, a wealthy family in Buckhead, big house, 4 bathrooms, marble countertops, the kind of house I used to dream about when I was young. Now I just cleaned it while they lived in it. The wife was nice enough, always leaving me a bottle of water and a little note thanking me. But I'll never forget the day her daughter asked her, "Mommy, why is that lady cleaning our house?" And the mother, without even looking at me, said, "Because that's her job, sweetheart." I wasn't a person to them. I was a service, a function, someone who made their life easier and then disappeared. I came home that day exhausted. My knees ached. My back screamed. I walked into the house and found Marcus sitting at the kitchen table with a stack of papers in front of him. "What's all this?" I asked, setting my purse down. "Medical bills," he said flatly. "From my surgery. Insurance didn't cover half of it. We owe $8,300. I felt the room tilt. "What?" "They sent me to collections. I've been getting calls for 2 months. I didn't want to tell you." "Marcus, I know, Patricia. I'm sorry." I sat down slowly, my legs giving out. $8,300. On top of everything else. On top of the rent, the utilities, the groceries, the school fees, the car payment, the credit cards we'd maxed out just to stay afloat. "How are we supposed to pay this?" I whispered. "I don't know." And that was the problem. Neither of us knew. We were drowning, and there was no lifeline in sight. That night, Jasmine came to me while I was folding laundry in the living room. "Mama, can I talk to you?" "Of course, baby. What's wrong?" She sat down on the couch, fidgeting with her hands. She looked so much like me at that age. Beautiful, hopeful, full of dreams she didn't know might never come true. "I got accepted into the summer enrichment program at Georgia Tech. It's for students who want to study engineering." My heart swelled with pride. "Jasmine, that's amazing." "But it cost $800, and I know things are tight right now, so if we can't afford it, it's okay. I really wanted to go." I looked at my daughter. My smart, beautiful, hard-working daughter who had never asked for anything she didn't need, who studied late into the night, who babysat for extra money, who wore her cousin's hand-me-downs without complaint. And I couldn't tell her no. "We'll figure it out, baby, I promise." She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "Thank you, Mama, thank you." After she went to bed, I sat alone in the dark and cried, because I had no idea how I was going to keep that promise. May came like a storm. The car broke down. Transmission, $200 to fix it. We didn't have it, so Marcus borrowed money from his brother, Jerome, who lived in Marietta. Jerome was doing well, owned by a small construction company. Nice house, new truck. He loaned the money without hesitation, but I saw the look in his eyes when he handed Marcus the check. Pity. And that look stayed with me for days. Without the car, I had to take 2 buses to get to my cleaning jobs. 4 buses total, 2 hours each way. I was leaving the house at 5:30 a.m. and not getting home until 8 p.m. I barely saw my kids. I barely saw my husband. I was a ghost in my own life. One evening, I came home to find MJ sitting at the kitchen table doing his homework. He looked up at me with those big brown eyes and said, "Mama, my teacher said I need to bring $20 for the end-of-year party. Can I have it?" I opened my purse. I had $14. That was supposed to last us until Friday. It was Wednesday. "Baby, can you ask your teacher if there's a payment plan?" His face fell. "Mama, it's just $20. "I know, sweetheart. I know, but I don't have it right now." Everybody else is bringing money. I don't want to be the only one who can't go. "MJ, I'm trying." "You always say you're trying, but nothing ever changes." He grabbed his backpack and ran to his room, slamming the door. I stood there in the kitchen, frozen. My 12-year-old son had just told me the truth I'd been avoiding for months. Nothing ever changes. That night, Marcus came home late again. He'd been gone all day looking for work. He walked in smelling like cigarettes and sweat, his face drawn and tired. "Any luck?" I asked. "No." That was all he said, just no. And then he went to the bedroom and closed the door. I stood in the hallway outside our room, my hand on the doorknob, wanting to go in, wanting to talk to him, wanting to fix whatever was breaking between us. But I didn't, because I didn't know what to say anymore. We were strangers living in the same house, two people who used to love each other, now just surviving side by side. By June, I was working 4 jobs, the cleaning houses, the warehouse shifts, and now I'd picked up 2 more, delivering groceries on weekends and babysitting for a family in Decatur on Thursday nights. I made about $2,400 a month. It sounds like a lot, but it wasn't. After rent, $100, utilities, $200, food, $400, gas, $150, phone, $80, and the car payment, $250. We had almost nothing left. And that didn't include the medical bills, the credit card payments, or the money I'd promised Jasmine for her program. I was running on fumes, physically, emotionally, spiritually. One Saturday morning, I woke up and couldn't get out of bed. Not because I was tired, I was always tired, but because something inside me had just stopped. Like a machine that had been running too long and finally gave out. Marcus found me lying there staring at the ceiling. "Patricia, you okay?" I didn't answer. "Patricia?" "I can't do this anymore, Marcus." He sat down on the edge of the bed. "Can't do what?" "Any of it. I can't keep working like this. I can't keep pretending everything's fine. I can't keep watching our kids go without while I break my back trying to hold this family together." "So what do you want to do?" "I don't know." I sat up, my voice rising. "I don't know, Marcus. I don't have the answers. I'm just one person, and I'm tired of being the only one trying to figure this out." "I'm trying too, Patricia." "Then why does it feel like I'm doing this alone?" He stood up, his jaw tight. "Because you won't let me help. Every time I try to do something, you shut me down. You take over. You act like I'm not capable of anything." "That's not fair." "Isn't it? You won't even let me make decisions about our own finances. You hide the bills from me. You take on extra jobs without telling me. You carry everything yourself and then blame me for not helping." I opened my mouth to argue, but the words died in my throat. Because he was right. I had been shutting him out, not on purpose, but because I was so used to carrying everything myself that I forgot what it felt like to have a partner. We stood there in silence, the air between us thick with all the things we'd been too afraid to say. Finally, Marcus spoke, his voice quiet. "I don't know how to fix this, Patricia, but I know we can't keep going like this." "I know." "So what do we do?" Looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in months, and I saw a man who was just as scared and lost as I was, a man who loved his family but didn't know how to save it. "I don't know," I whispered, "but we have to do something before we lose everything." The breaking point came in July. Jasmine's summer program started. She was so excited. I dropped her off on the first day and watched her walk into that building at Georgia Tech with her head held high, her backpack on her shoulders, her whole future ahead of her. And I drove away crying because I'd paid for that program with money I didn't have. I'd taken out a payday loan, $800 at 400% interest. I knew it was a mistake. I knew it would bury us even deeper. But I couldn't tell my daughter no. The loan was due in 2 weeks. I had no idea how I was going to pay it back. Then, 2 days later, Marcus collapsed. I got a call at work. He was at home, and MJ had found him on the bathroom floor unconscious. The ambulance took him to Grady. By the time I got there, they'd already run tests. The doctor was a young woman with kind eyes. She spoke gently, but her words hit like hammers. Your husband has dangerously high blood pressure. His kidneys are showing signs of stress. He needs medication, lifestyle changes, and regular monitoring. If he doesn't get treatment, he's at risk of stroke or heart attack. How much will the medication cost? I asked, my voice shaking. With insurance, probably $150 a month. Without it, it is closer to $600. We didn't have insurance for 4 months. I'd let it lapse because we couldn't afford the premiums. I sat in that hospital room watching my husband sleep, hooked up to machines, looking so fragile, and I realized something that changed everything. Money wasn't just money. It was life. It was safety. It was the difference between my husband being here or not being here. And I'd been so focused on surviving day to day that I'd forgotten to protect what mattered most. That night, I went home and sat at the kitchen table with every bill, every statement, every piece of paper that represented our financial life. I spread them out in front of me like a battlefield map. And for the first time in months, I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I didn't run away. I faced it. The next morning, I called a financial counselor I'd heard about through my church. Her name was Mrs. Elaine Harper. She was an older black woman, maybe 70, who'd spent her life helping families get out of debt. We met at a coffee shop in East Atlanta. She ordered tea. I ordered nothing because I couldn't afford it. "Tell me what's going on, Patricia," she said, her voice calm and steady. I told her everything. The jobs, the bills, the payday loan, Marcus's health, the kids, the silence, the shame. She listened without interrupting. When I was done, she folded her hands on the table and looked me straight in the eye. "You're not alone," she said. "What you're going through, it's not unusual. It's not a failure. It's a crisis. And crises can be managed, but you have to stop trying to do it alone. I don't know how to ask for help. Then I'm going to teach you." Over the next 2 hours, she walked me through a plan. Not a magic solution, not a get-rich-quick scheme. A real, practical, honest plan to stabilize our finances and start rebuilding. First, stop the payday loan cycle. Mrs. Harper connected me with a nonprofit lender who specialized in helping families get out of predatory loans. They paid off my $800 loan and gave me a new loan at 6% interest, payable over 18 months. My monthly payment dropped from $200 to $50. Second, apply for emergency medical assistance for Marcus. She helped me fill out the paperwork for a program that would cover his medication at a reduced cost, $30 a month instead of $600. Third, get insurance. Even if it was just catastrophic coverage, even if it meant cutting something else, because one more medical emergency without insurance would destroy us completely. Mrs. Harper helped me navigate the Affordable Care Act marketplace, and we found a plan for $180 a month. It was tight, but it was necessary. Fourth, stop saying yes to everything. She looked me in the eye and said, "Patricia, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to learn to say no. Not because you don't love your children, but because saying yes to everything is killing you, and if you die, who's going to take care of them?" That hit me harder than anything else. Fifth, bring Marcus into the conversation. Your husband feels powerless because you've taken all the power. she said gently. "You've made him a passenger in his own life. Give him back his dignity. Let him be part of the solution." I cried right there in that coffee shop, because she was right about all of it. That evening, I sat Marcus down at the kitchen table. I told him about Mrs. Harper, about the plan, about the changes we needed to make, and then I said the hardest thing I'd ever said to him. "I need you, Marcus. Not just your money, not just your help. I need you. I've been trying to do this alone because I was scared you couldn't handle it, but I was wrong. We're supposed to be a team, and I forgot that." He was quiet for a long time. Then he reached across the table and took my hand. "I'm sorry I made you feel like you had to carry everything yourself. I'm sorry I shut you out." We sat there holding hands across that old kitchen table, and for the first time in months, the silence between us wasn't broken. It was healing. The changes didn't happen overnight. We had to cut things. Jasmine didn't get new school clothes. MJ didn't get the expensive sneakers he wanted. We stopped eating out completely. We stopped buying anything that wasn't absolutely necessary, but we also started talking again, really talking. Marcus and I sat down every Sunday evening and went over our finances together. We made decisions as a team. We planned. We prioritized. We said no when we had to, and slowly, things started to shift. Marcus found work, not driving trucks, but something else. A friend from church owned a small moving company and needed someone to manage the warehouse. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't great pay, but it was steady. $15 an hour, 40 hours a week, benefits after 90 days. I cut back to 2 jobs, the cleaning and the warehouse. I let go of the grocery delivery and the babysitting. It meant less money, but it also meant I could breathe. I could see my kids. I could sleep more than 4 hours a night. By August, we were still struggling, but we were no longer drowning. We paid off the payday loan in full. We got Marcus's medication under control. We enrolled in a financial literacy class at our church where we learned about budgeting, saving, and long-term planning. And we started an emergency fund. It was small, just $25 a month. But it was something, a cushion, a safety net, a way to protect ourselves from the next crisis. In September, something unexpected happened. Jasmine came home from her summer program and announced that she'd been offered a full scholarship to a STEM academy for her senior year. Full tuition, books included. College prep was built in. I cried. Marcus cried. We all cried. Because for the first time in a year, something good happened. Something we didn't have to pay for. Something that felt like hope. And then MJ came home with a certificate from school. Student of the Month. His teacher had written a note. MJ has shown incredible resilience and maturity this year. He's a joy to have in class. I hugged that boy so tight he complained, but I didn't care, because my kids were okay, despite everything. Despite the stress and the fights and the empty wallets and the broken silence, they were okay. October came, and with it, a conversation I'll never forget. Marcus and I were sitting on the porch one evening after the kids went to bed. The air was cool. The cicadas were singing. It felt peaceful. "You know what I realized?" Marcus said. "What?" "We were so focused on money that we forgot what we were fighting for." I looked at him. "What do you mean?" "We thought money was the solution. We thought if we just had more, everything would be fine. But the problem wasn't the money. It was us. We stopped being a team. We stopped trusting each other. We stopped fighting together." He was right. "And now?" I asked. "Now we're still broke," he said with a small smile. "But we're together, and that's worth more than any amount of money." I leaned my head on his shoulder. "I love you, Marcus." "I love you too, Patricia." We sat there in the quiet, holding hands, and I realized something profound. Money doesn't define you. What you do when you don't have it, that's what defines you. By November, we'd made real progress. Our emergency fund had grown to $300. It wasn't much, but it was ours. We'd also paid off one of the credit cards completely. We were down to 2, and we had a plan to pay those off over the next 2 years. Mrs. Harper checked in on us every month. She became like family. She taught us things I never learned growing up: how to negotiate bills, how to talk to creditors, how to protect your credit, how to plan for the future. But more than that, she taught us something deeper. She taught us that financial stability isn't about being rich. It's about being wise. It's about making choices that protect your family. It's about thinking long-term, even when you're desperate short-term. She taught us about insurance, not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Life insurance isn't for you, she said. It's for the people you love. It's peace of mind. It's making sure that if something happens to you, your family isn't destroyed financially on top of everything else. We have a small-term life policy, $50 a month for both of us. It wasn't much, but it was something, and it gave us peace. By December, we were different people. Not perfect. We still struggled. We still had bills. We still had to say no to things we wished we could say yes to. But we weren't breaking anymore. Jasmine was thriving in her new school. MJ was happy. Marcus was healthier. And I was no longer running on empty. On Christmas Eve, we sat around our little tree, the kids, Marcus, and me, and opened presents. We didn't have much. A few small things we'd saved for, but it didn't matter, because we had each other. And that night, lying in bed next to Marcus, I thought about everything we'd been through: the fights, the silence, the fear, the shame, the slow, painful climb back to solid ground. And I realized something. This story wasn't about money. It was about love. It was about family. It was about refusing to give up, even when giving up felt easier than fighting. It was about learning that every month doesn't have to end the same way. You can break the cycle. You can change the ending. You can build something better. But you have to be willing to face the truth. You have to be willing to ask for help. You have to be willing to make hard choices. And most of all, you have to remember that you're not alone. Today, I'm still Patricia Williams. I'm still 58. I still live in Atlanta. I still work 2 jobs. But I'm not drowning anymore. We're not rich. We're not even comfortable. But we're stable. We're healing. We're moving forward. And every month no longer ends the same way. Our wallets still get empty sometimes. But the silence? That's gone. Because Marcus and I learned something that changed everything. You can survive almost anything if you survive it together. If you've ever felt like you're drowning in bills, working yourself to death, watching your marriage fall apart, or wondering if you'll ever get ahead, I want you to know something. You're not alone. This story I just told you, it's not unique. It's happening in homes all over this country. Good people, hardworking people, loving people, people who deserve better but don't know how to get there. But here's what I learned. You don't get out of financial crisis with luck. You get out with wisdom, with planning, with support, with discipline, and with the courage to face the truth, no matter how painful it is. If you're struggling, please reach out. Talk to a financial counselor, talk to your church, talk to someone who's been where you are and made it through. Don't take shortcuts. Don't fall for quick money schemes. Don't let pride keep you from asking for help. And please, protect your family. Get insurance. Build an emergency fund, even if it's just $10 a month. Think long-term, even when short-term is screaming in your face. Because the truth is, money will come and go. But your family, your love, your dignity, those are worth fighting for. I want to hear from you. Have you ever been where I was? Have you ever sat at your kitchen table in the middle of the night, staring at bills you couldn't pay, wondering if you'd ever make it through? Or maybe you're there right now. Maybe you're reading this and thinking, that's my life. That's my story. If that's you, I want you to know, you will get through this. It won't be easy, it won't be fast, but you will get through it. Leave a comment and tell me your story. Tell me what you're going through. Tell me what you've learned. Tell me how you survived. Because we're all in this together. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is share your truth so someone else knows they're not alone. And if this story touched you, if it felt real, if it reminded you of your own life, please subscribe to this channel. Because there are more stories like this. Real stories. Hard stories. Stories about survival and wisdom and the strength it takes to rebuild when everything falls apart. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me share my truth with you. My name is Patricia Williams. I'm 58 years old. I'm a Black woman. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a survivor. And this is my story,